We're going to actually do a live demonstration today. I thought it was the end of the day, so we'd mix it up a little bit, and instead of doing videos, I'll give you a little bit of suspense because it's a live demo. We never really know if it's going to work, do we? Basically, what Authentifi is in the authentication business. We've innovated in the authentication business for well over 10 years. And when looking at mobile and mobile authentication, we sensed several themes in the marketplace. One of them is that the way that the industry has grown up to use passwords is fundamentally broken. How many of you people have one username and password combination? Well, you're all lying. Raise your hand. You all have at least one, right? How many have 10 or 50 or 200? The highest number I ever heard was 750. So how does a human manage all that? And are there 750 of you? No, they're not. There's only one of you, right? So we have to fix that problem. Second problem is privacy, and privacy cuts both ways. The first thing is that end users want to maintain their privacy. How many people ask for questions like mother's maiden name, right? And so when you were asked that question, the first time you provided the answer, then the second time you thought about it a little bit, and by the third or fourth time you started lying. You started misspelling the word, you started giving your neighbor's last name, because as a person you felt bad giving up that information. Similarly, the enterprise wants to protect privacy. They want to know that when they're communicating with their user, that information is protected. And the last market theme we sensed was what we call credential fatigue. If you were to ask the CEO in your institution, what's our electronic security credential problem, what would be their answer? They wouldn't give you one. They don't even know that they have an electronic security credential problem. They have a business problem or a risk problem or a security problem or a regulatory problem. But what happens in an organization is that a set of requirements comes in. Oh, we have to do multi-factor authentication. So an RFI is created and an RFP, and 18 months go by and you implement a solution, and now you've got one solution. And over time, you end up with 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 different credential implementations. So we're trying to create a mechanism that you can get past all that and get back to the business that you are in, which is business management, risk management, policy management. So Authentifi XFA is a mobile application that acts as a mobile personal authenticator. Authentication credentials are provided for an end user one time. Those are provided anonymously, and no enterprise ever sees them. The enterprise gets to surf them. They get to, by policy, ask, I need a biometric for this, or I need a certificate for this, or I need a question and answer for this. So without further ado, let me go ahead and try the live demo. So this window right here is actually a screencast of my Android device here. And then this window here is my XYZ Finance, which is our demonstration bank. So I'm going to show you the fully enrolled process, and depending on time, we'll go through as many scenarios as we can. So on the lower right-hand side, down here, you'll see the Authentifi XFA icon. So I'll go ahead and touch that icon. It'll open the app. And in a fully enrolled sense, how do I log into the app? Well, we're going to change the way banking authentication happens. We're going to change the way authentication happens for any application, whether it's online banking, point of sale, ATM. We can even use this thing to open doors to buildings if you want. So for a web application, we're going to say go ahead and log in. First thing you're going to notice is we're not going to ask for a username and password. So I'm going to say scan the code to log in. And then I get, it's going to ask me for my password because while I was talking, my credential expired. And then I go ahead and scan the code. Gives me a mutual authentication message. One of the things that you're always worried about is phishing sites, making sure that the site that your end user is seeing is actually the site that you're presenting. This ensures that you're looking at that the customer is looking at the right site. And on the web, because I'm doing web authentication, I'm dropped into a fully authenticated session. Don't you love live demos? What happened here? It's waiting. This was working so well. I was sitting in the corner here doing the demo, and it was working every single time. Here we go. We're going to try this again. All right, scan to log in. There we go. Mutual authentication message. Say go. And we're logged in. That was supposed to happen the first time. So now, what problems do you face today? One of the problems people face today is transactional authentication. I want to do something out of band if I'm particularly in the internet or if I'm in a mobile channel doing some sort of payment. I want to make sure that there's not a man in the middle, man in the browser, or that somebody's changed the details of the transaction. And so the app supports secure messaging. I'm going to go ahead and ask to transfer $50. And so over on the left-hand side, you'll see I get a message that indicates the details of the transaction, and then I get to approve or deny the transaction. That message was encrypted end-to-end, and there was only one device on the planet that could have decrypted that message, and that's this device. So I'm going to say, yes, I want the payment to occur. And on the right-hand side, you'll see I get a little banner that says the payment's completed. One of the things that we see frequently in particularly banking is what we call contextual authentication. Based on the transaction that's going on, earlier in the presentation, they were talking a lot about risk management. Based on the transaction that's occurring, I may want to do different levels of authentication. And so in this case, if you look at the little demo note we have down in the lower right-hand side of the screen, depending on the dollar value of the transaction, the end user will actually be presented with different authentication mechanisms. And so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and say transfer $750, and there's a knowledge-based authentication question required if I transfer that amount of money. Now in this particular case, it's a silly question, which of the following is a type of tree, but you can certainly ask whatever questions you want to ask. And then the last one is for very important transactions, you can actually request of the customer to do a biometric. And so the biometric that I've got enabled on my device here is voice. I got to go over 1,000. So I get prompted in the device for a voice biometric, 01429837756. Of course, I pre-enrolled, goes ahead and validates that the biometric is correct. I say okay, and in it goes. The beauty of this is it's a multi-tenant device, which means if you have multiple business units, you've got business banking, credit card banking, mortgage banking, the customer uses the exact same authenticators across all of those, but each business unit sets up their own relationship, gets to manage their own policy, and gets to control the authenticators on a transaction-by-transaction basis. Explicitly not single sign-on, and explicitly not federation. Everybody maintains their own control. That's the end of the demo. Thank you very much. Come see us over in the exhibit hall. We're in booth number D9. Thank you.
Thank you very much.